Hey, everybody, welcome to What's Up Wednesday. This week, I'd like to talk a little bit about the topic of hearing conservation. Melanie Taylor, our resource manager, has been putting out some really great toolbox talks. And this last week, she sent something out related to hearing conservation. And again, just like the ladder safety topic that I covered last week, I think that this is one of those topics that's worth mentioning. And there are a few reasons for that. But first off, I think that as humans, we perceive risk differently when the consequences are immediate versus consequences that kind of come over time. So an example would be, we're not probably likely to jump off a 20-foot wall and break our legs, but we're not unlikely to engage in or perform activities that over time kind of beat our joints and beat our knees, so to speak. And I think hearing conservation is a good example of that. And I'll be the first to admit that when I was younger, I didn't take very good care of my hearing. I listened to my stereo in my vehicle way too loud. I shot guns without hearing protection on. And just in general, I didn't do the things that I should have, and I'm paying for that today. I think another example that might resonate with people is this whole idea of hygiene and flossing your teeth, right? We're told from a very young age by the dentist that you need to floss every day. But I know for a lot of us, that doesn't really resonate. And until maybe you have gum issues or problems a little bit later in life, a lot of people don't start flossing. And I think hearing conservation is a lot the same way, because you don't notice the slight shifts over time in your ability to hear things. And by the time that damage has been done and you start to recognize or notice hearing loss, it's really too late. There's not a whole lot you can do other than getting hearing aids. So the first thing that I want to point out again is, when we look at risk and consequences, we do, I think, evaluate these things differently. And it's important that we as safety leaders send a message to the workforce that the little things that you can't feel today are going to hurt you later. So, when you start to try to relate to somebody about hearing loss and you notice that they're not wearing their hearing protection properly, or they're not wearing it at all, and they're putting themselves in a situation where they are exposed, then maybe you could try to find a way to make that personal. And examples would be that if somebody needs to raise their voice so that you can hear them, or if you can't hear somebody that's only a few feet away from you and they're speaking loudly, or like me, you're in an environment with a lot of white noise, a restaurant, a lobby, and you're trying to have a conversation with somebody, but there's a lot of noise in the background and you're struggling to hear them, that these are really, really good examples. Another one would be sounds are muffled or dulled around you. So these are examples that you can share with people, and I think reinforce the fact that if they don't take care of their hearing now, then down the road, they're likely going to suffer from these ailments, and their quality of life later in life isn't going to be as good. So again, it's one of those under realized, or one of those topics that maybe doesn't get as much attention as it should. But I know that much like our sense of sight, our sense of touch, and our sense of smell, life just isn't the same when we can't hear. And if you don't believe me, go out in the wilderness where it's absolutely quiet, silent, and listen to the birds, listen to the bugs, listen to the wildlife. And when that's all of a sudden gone, and or you can't talk to and communicate with your family members, it really changes your quality of life. So think about that one, maybe use it as a toolbox topic in one of your meetings, and share it with the people around you. And then we will see you next Wednesday.